The following is paid programming.
It's time to talk taxes.
New friends, new opportunities, new partners. EG Tax.
It's Ask the Tax Lady with Esther Gulius and EG Tax on News Radio 930 WBEN. To reach Esther now, call 803-0930. Toll free at 1-800-616-9236. And cell calls are free at star 930. And now, live from the WBEN studios, it's Esther Gulius.
Hey, happy Saturday. And so it's Tiff and Chris. Esther has off again. It's almost her birthday. And we'll say that she's celebrating her birthday. That's something fun to do, right? I know last Saturday she listened in and she gave us the stamp of approval, Chris, so that was good.
Yep, always good.
Yeah, and that's Christopher Fabian. That's my better half. And today we have a guest in studio, Joe. He's from Cross State Funding. He's a licensed mortgage loan originator. And I also want to say that don't forget we have our Facebook Live for EG Tax. We're talking about all the tax reform changes that are proposed and things to get you and your business ready for 2021. And if you have a question, you can call the studio at 716-803-0930. Again, 716-803-0930, star 930 on your cell. And you're welcome to text or call questions. Any letters you've been sending this week, Chris?
Well, I know Tim was telling me that he's seen people getting letters for health insurance because they haven't filed a return yet.
Right.
So they were on the exchange, and now the IRS isn't not just waiting for the return saying, hey, you had a subsidy. You need to file your return.
Well, actually, what I've been seeing is that same thing sort of for health insurance, and we're not going to renew because we don't have your return. But they did file. But it was either paper or Debbie, I'm thinking of, hers was stuck in somewhere. And so she can't get health insurance. And that's really because the person who did their return didn't put the 8965 on there, the 1095A, and they didn't allocate it. So now it's stuck in a holding pattern at the IRS.
Yeah, I mean, but you know, that's one of the many things we do at EG Tax. Mm-hmm. You know, we help people with letters. We even help people with health insurance, no matter if you're under 65 or over 65. No cost. We help you. Business consultations, personal consultations, bookkeeping, payroll. We're more than just a tax service.
Did you say offers and compromises?
Those two.
And that's why it's good to have Joe in studio with us. Usually
Hello,
it's
everyone.
Jess. Yeah, Joe. And Joe, what is your last name?
My last name is Parrott, like the bird, two R's and two T's.
Okay, gotcha. And so Jesse usually is here with us, but I think Jesse was busy today, so we have another J, and that's Joe. And probably Jesse taught you everything he knows, right?
I'm the face of the company. You know, the pretty face, I should say.
He's not here. We'll go with that.
Yeah, I know. Chris and I have used Cross State Funding many times, and you guys have done an amazing job saving us money and getting us mortgages, and you've helped my sister and my mom, and so you guys do an amazing job. And you also have a location here in Western New York and then one in Florida, right?
We do. We have one in Florida. We actually are also licensed in California as well, which I spent the last 3.5 years in San Diego.
Oh.
So yeah, we're licensed, you know, the whole state of New York.
Okay.
So, you know, whether it's Buffalo or, you know, New York City, we can help. Same thing in the entire state of Florida.
Is the market as crazy in California as it is in Western New York?
It's actually very comparable.
Okay.
Obviously, given that the prices are a lot higher out there.
Yeah.
But, you know, the market, you know, same thing with home values going crazy right now. You know, it's definitely a seller's market there, and as well as here in New York. But Florida's a little bit different. You know, it's not as competitive, but we're coming obviously on winter time,
right.
So everyone wants to get out of Buffalo and head to the sunshine.
Yeah.
The season,
Exactly.
as they call it.
Exactly.
Yes. And Facebook Live on December 12th. If you're interested, call our office or go to egtax.com and you can click and not so much have to register, but just let us know that you're going to be in attendance because we'd like to send out information and give details and things like that. So it was funny. We were talking last week about the proposed Biden tax reform changes. And isn't there talk, Chris, or is there talk about him getting rid of some of the tax reform changes that President Trump did?
Well,
so I was thinking that would parlay with taxes and mortgages and Schedule A.
Yeah, well, if you listen to the debates, he says he's going to get rid of all of the tax changes. But then you hear him another time and he says he's only going to get rid of the part that taxes the rich more. So I always am a firm believer it always goes down the line. Mm-hmm. As much as they say it's only the top person, that always trickles down to it's going to be the middle class. It's going to be the lower class. Everybody's going to be paying more taxes. Yep. So you got to be careful. You got to be penny wise and smart.
Yep, absolutely. And so what, Joe, right now, what are the mortgage rates? What are you finding?
Rates are still at historic lows. And obviously with the uncertainty right now, obviously with the pandemic and everything, I don't necessarily foresee rates going up anytime soon. But again, the market's rather volatile for the mortgage rates. But they're still very good, very low. Now is the time to refinance, especially coming up on tax season. If you're even considering possibly expanding a real estate portfolio, buying rental properties, call EG Tax. Get an idea of what the taxes are going to look like. Sit down, with me or someone in our office. We can put a game plan together for, going into 2021.
Right.
As to, what the financials, what the income could look like. But rates are definitely extremely low.
Yeah. And so
sub 3, right?
Oh yeah. We're looking at like 2.75.
Okay.
Mid to high 2s for a 30-year fix, which is just crazy right now.
Which is remarkable. I know you have a client of ours, and they had a house that was valued around $575, and their mortgage rate was 4.9. And they were able to pull some extra money out, and eventually they're saving about $1,500 a month.
It really is ridiculous.
Right.
Especially 4.9. It's not a terrible rate for
what
rates used to be. So a lot of people think that they have a good rate, even if you're paying 3.875.
Right.
There can be a benefit there. Whether it's possibly cutting your term, or pulling some cash out, paying off some debt, having the same payment. It's huge.
I know these folks, they had student loan interest, and the student loan interest was like 8 or 9%. So they pulled extra money out at a rate of 2.5 or 3. They paid off the student loans, and it was like a no-brainer. Before the break, why don't we go to Dan and Clarence? Hey, Dan.
Hey, how are you guys?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. Living the COVID dream,
It is a dream.
Oy.
A bad one.
Nightmare.
And I have a real estate question in Western New York. Can you give me your opinion on what's driving the market? Like every time I see a house go for sale, there's multiple bids on it. It doesn't sit very long. Is it the fact that, again, I know that there's a lot of people unemployed and they have kind of deferred any kind of foreclosure, and you're talking to a lot of people who are sick in New York and want to. So I'm just going to get a handle, get your opinion on what you think is driving all of these sales. And do you think, at some point, when they start foreclosing and people start moving and you can start doing things again, do you think that the market is going to open up with, a lot of inventory?
Good question. So before I turn this over to Joe or Chris, one thing is driving the market is the low interest rates. And then what do you think, Joe?
Yeah, so
not much inventory.
There's a lot of buyers. So the saturation of the market right now is insane. So the main thing I get, and this is the biggest rebuttal I have from customers, whether it's looking to purchase, the market, people think is going to crash. Well,
right.
My opinion is the difference between now and back then in 2008 is the people that are looking are actually pre-approved. So, the mortgage industry is so heavily regulated now. So the people that are in the market that are bidding on these houses, they're legit buyers. So, the biggest issue is the inventory is so low, but the buyers are, there's so many.
And what do you think is driving?
I was going to say the interest rate, but you got to remember too, even before COVID, the Western New York was a hotbed for real estate. Mm-hmm. I mean, I remember last summer talking to our realtors and who came on and our clients, and it was just unbelievable. And they're busier now than they were last year.
I can
which
attest
is
to that.
It's insane. But I think it has to do a lot with the low interest rates, and unlike 2008 when the market did crash, the housing market crashed. Those were the mortgages that were, oh, just do you have a job? Yes. Here's a house.
Mm-hmm.
We don't care if you make $30,000. Here's $1 million house.
Exactly.
They're doing a little bit more background, a little bit more.
With that being said, though, I think Dan asked a really legitimate question. People are losing their jobs. People are leaving their area. And so you sort of scratch your head and say, how is it that there's bidding wars? And I think a lot of it has to do with low inventory, the interest rates. And I think, Chris, some of it has flowed over for pre-COVID and what was happening before. And we'll dice up that question some more after we take a break.
Okay, well,
before I go to you, I just wanted to say that we were talking on the break, Joe and I, and he said, parlaying off of what Dan said, is that the interest rates are so low, people are running the numbers and they're saying it's cheaper to buy than to rent. And I think you put together an example, Chris.
I did. You have a married couple who makes $85,000. They rent for $900 a month. So after 5 years, the couple had no asset and they paid $54,000 in rent. Now, let's say that same couple bought a house for $125,000. Their monthly payment would be $527 at 3%. And then add in property taxes of $3,600. That would make an investment of payment of $827 a month. So you're talking a $73 savings a month over 5 years. That's $4,400. But they have an asset. So even if they sell that in 5 years, they're going to recoup all that principal they paid, and they're probably going to have a gain that's tax-free. So what's driving the market is people are getting smart.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and rent isn't cheap anymore.
And I think I was talking to Joe, and he said young people who are buying houses, if they can't qualify for a mortgage, they're having co-signers with their parents, and so they're just trying to be wise. I know Chris and I have a daughter in Chicago, and she's refusing to buy a house right now.
That's the boyfriend.
It's the boyfriend. Something about
the tax, it's not worth it for the taxes, but he's not looking at, like I just said, the asset, the investment.
Exactly.
You know, and that's the hard thing.
And the amount that they pay in rent every month is like $1,900, or is it $2,900?
Yeah.
About $3,000.
Yeah, they're in Chicago.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big house.
Yeah.
Pretty big
but then we were talking too, you know, if the market drops, but interest rates are so low. So if the market does drop and your house loses value, the odds are, with the interest being so low, the principal you're paying, you're not underwater like, again, you were in 2008. I hate to keep bringing up 2008 because I never want to see that again.
Exactly.
But you're not paying 10% interest on a house that's now worth $100,000 when you bought it for $300,000.
Exactly.
And I think mortgage companies are being more diligent, and they're doing their due diligence, and they're making sure people really qualify, because in 2008 they were writing slippery mortgages, right? They were just getting
for sure.
through. Yeah.
Since 2008, the federal government has heavily regulated the mortgage industry. So you can't just walk up into a bank anymore and just, here's a mortgage, here's the keys.
Right.
It's very due diligence, which leads me, to the next thing. If you're applying for a mortgage, bear with your mortgage loan originator. There's going to be documents.
Right.
Everything has to be documented now. So, but yes, to your point, Chris, buying versus renting is very huge right now.
And I'm going to go pick that up and talk to Mike from West Seneca. Hey, Mike, how's it going?
Not too bad. I do have, I don't know, 2 calls, I believe it was, ago.
Yeah.
Most of what you said made sense. High interest on a student loan, somewhere around 9%.
Right.
People taking money at a low 2% interest. Is it really worth it to pay off a student loan when you got Biden that wants to?
That's a really, 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 really good point.
You got to remember, politicians speak out of both sides of their mouth, right?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So is he only talking federal student loans and not private student loans?
And what about if the income limits for how much the couple
Right.
makes or single person
Right.
makes?
There's no guidance out there. They can say what they want. And I understand your point. If he's going to get rid of all of them, why do it? but he's not saying he's getting rid of all of them. He's not putting anything out there. So you still have to watch your own pennies because they can throw in the restrictions in any way they want, you know.
I was reading $125,000 and below.
Wow.
Where they would take a minimum of $10,000 off a student loan. And
Yeah.
I understand right now because I've got a son that's paying. You don't have to pay this year yet, and there's no interest.
Right, because of COVID, because of the CARES Act.
Yep.
Yeah. And, you know, I think, Chris, you said that really well. They speak out of both sides of their mouth because I had student loans and I had to pay them myself, but now I'm much older than the kids now. I mean, the amount to go to college and the amount that they have to spend is exorbitant, and so they really are in a pickle, right?
Yeah, but now I know we have a 20-year-old, almost 21-year-old. She goes to UB, and so I know from experience. And what I'm talking about with the different types of loans, a freshman can take out $5,500 in student loans. A sophomore goes up to like $6,000, then $7,500. So then the rest of the tuition goes on the parents. Joe, they have to take out Parent Plus loans. So are they going to forgive the Parent Plus loans, or are they only going to forgive the loans under the children's names?
Hey,
Great point.
the forgiveness is great.
Yeah.
Any would help, but yeah. And I heard the $125,000 too, you know, and they said if there's a 4-year degree out there that people aren't making $125,000, we're going to. But I know people who have masters who don't make $125,000, especially in Buffalo, New York. Mm-hmm. I know lawyers who start off at $60,000 a year. So, I mean, it's very a thin line he's walking when he's talking.
And Mike, did you have a second question? I wasn't sure.
No.
Yeah, but it's very interesting. It's
in the interest.
And then, it's really, really interesting because I got to tell you, because I'm fortunate or not fortunate, I have my doctorate degree and I still have some student loans. And so what should I do? Right? Yep. I guess Biden will tell me. Anyways, always nice talking to you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. There's a text. It says, could you guys give out the phone number for cross-state funding? What I have right now is Joe's personal phone number, 716-383-2191. What I mean is his personal corporate number, 716-383-2191. But what is the phone number to cross-state funding?
Yep, it's 716-691-7000. That's our office number. Give us a call, or feel free to shoot me a text. Give me a call. I'm available pretty much 24/7.
And the text line is 383-2191?
You got it.
Okay.
And is there, like, crossstatefunding.com? Is there a website?
Yep, you can go right to www.crossstatefunding.com. There's 3 S's in between cross and state that gets trips people up a little bit.
You guys have done. How long has Cross State Funding been in business?
Gosh, I believe this is going on our 15th or 16th year.
Yeah, because I remember Kelly Slumba.
Correct.
Is the one who started it, and then Jesse's her son, and she's like adopted you,
yeah,
right?
you got it. Yeah. I've known Kelly for years. She's awesome, but Kelly has 30 plus years in the mortgage, which doesn't make any sense because I think she's only 32 years old or something.
Right.
So,
are you going for a raise?
And then, we were talking about the different states that you live in and doing your due diligence. Esther always says she's closing out a house maybe in Florida. It takes like that. Whereas if you close a house in Western New York, it takes much longer. So what is the closing periods about for New York or maybe Florida versus Florida?
Here's the tough thing in New York State right now. It's obviously an attorney state. So, the attorneys with a combination of, the lender's attorney, seller's attorney, your attorney, if you're buying a house, is title. Depending on the county, some courthouses are closed, some clerks are not there. Yeah. So the title process has been, to a degree hurting us. But for the most part, it takes about 30 to 45 days to get a loan done from start to finish.
And in Florida?
In Florida, it's a lot quicker.
Like a week?
Yeah, you can close loan in, 2 to 3 weeks.
It's amazing when you look at these shows on TV and they go, oh, I'm going to buy this house for $700,000 all cash and we'll close on Tuesday. Wait, it's Monday. How can you close that fast?
Exactly.
I'm going to get Marlene's question and we could start it before the break. Hey, Marlene from Lancaster, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I have a question. I'm not 65 yet, and in January I have to start buying my own health insurance. and I'm interested in how that health savers account works. Is it like an IRA?
Good question.
Yeah, so you're not 65 yet, right?
Oh.
Okay. So what you can, if you have an HSA out there from a prior employer, you could use it to pay for your health insurance. But what I'm going to say to do, Marlene, is call our office and talk to Tim, 632-7886. And you want to talk to Tim. He is a healthcare navigator, and he can run all your numbers and tell you what the best solution is for you for your health insurance.
Because if she doesn't already have an HSA, it's too late.
Right. You have to have a high deductible plan. But let Tim see what
Deductible plan that I'm interested in purchasing, and I thought maybe I had to put the money in this year to cover next year.
well, you have to be on the high deductible plan now to put it in. So if your insurance doesn't go into effect to January 1st, you can't put it into the HSA yet.
Oh, can I put it in the year 2021?
Yep. But before you decide on the insurance,
Not yet.
yeah, call Tim.
But
And we got a break for the news, so hold on one second, okay?
Yeah, and I want to give our phone number 632-7886 for Tim.
Okay, we're back after the news. We're going to pick up again with Marlene.
Yeah. Hey, Marlene, I'm having Tim call in right now. So Tim is going to answer your question. So I'm thinking I'm going to have you hang up. And is there any more to the question before I pick up Tim and you listen?
Well, I'm not working, and I just really wanted to know, does it work like an IRA? And if I put my money in next year towards what I think I'm going to spend, can I put it in increments, like a couple of thousand?
Yeah, you can, with an HSA, it does work like an IRA, but you can't use the money until you're 65.
Oh, you can't use the money?
Not if you want to use it as an IRA. If you can use it for medical purposes.
Yeah, medical purposes.
Yeah, but yeah, you can use that throughout the year. But what is your income going to be? How much?
Social Security, pension.
About $57,000.
Okay, so yeah, so definitely you're going to want to listen to what Tim's got to say, and then maybe you'll give him a call on Monday. So just listen to Tim. We're going to bring Tim on the line now.
Okay. Tim?
Yes.
Hey, so we just had Marlene call in, and she is, and Chris, step on me if I'm doing any of this wrong. She's a retired lady who's going to be 65.
Or 60. She's under 65.
She's under 65. She wants to know if she could put money into an HSA to use that to pay for her health insurance. And Chris had told her, what did you tell her, Chris?
I said she has to wait till she's on the health insurance plan.
And then she already had to have a high
deductible.
So she has to have the high deductible first, and then she can qualify for it, and then she can contribute to it. And and you said she is over 50, so she can do catch up, so she could do up to $4,500 as an individual
into the HSA.
And then she wanted to know if she could put the money in increment or take the money out or in.
Put it in increments throughout the year.
Yep. So she can put it in there. And you said that she is retired?
Yes.
She's not. Okay. So, yeah, because even people that are 65 can still contribute to an HSA as long as they are still working for a large employer and they are not enrolled in Medicare Part A and or B.
And what if she's not still employed?
If she's not employed, then she has to stop contributing when she turns 65 because she would have to be on Part A there and do the Medicare.
Yeah, so Marlene, there's a lot there. It's not as simple as you think. So definitely you want to give Tim a call on Monday. He's there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week, normally Monday through Friday.
And Tim, while I got you on the phone, when does open enrollment end?
Open enrollment for Medicare ends December 7th.
Okay.
But they do have, as I call it, the get out of jail free. That is starting January 1st through March 31st, where if they want to change the Advantage plan that they are in or go from an Advantage plan back to original Medicare, that they can still do that then.
Cool.
Open enrollment for the New York State of Health will go through December 15th. So if anybody has to change plans or wants to get enrolled because they've, due to the circumstances with the pandemic, they may have lost their insurance or they lost their job and their insurance. If they're going to go into a health plan in the marketplace, December 15th is really a good deadline. They have some open enrollment with loss of insurance, but they always need to do that within 60 days of the life-changing event.
Okay, cool. Well, Marlene, we'll give you a buzz and have a good weekend.
All right, sounds good.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yep. There's a lot with taxes and health insurance and taxes and everything else in your life. And that's why we say before you do anything, give us a call. And even if you're refinancing your mortgage, is it worth it if you refinance your mortgage? Should I do it? Should I not do it?
Well, it's so funny. Jesse and Joe wrote out some questions before the show. And one of the questions is, if I just purchased a home this year or within the last couple of years, can I refinance it? Is it worth me checking it out?
Huge question that we get a lot. I just purchased my house within the last year. 2 years. What's going to make sense? The first thing is give us a call because that's our job. We'll analyze it just to see if anything's going to make sense. But depending on your situation, there's many different avenues. Depending on what you're looking for.
Right.
Depending on if you want to possibly save interest, or say you have a lot of high interest credit cards,
and
or
how long you're
loans.
staying in the house.
Exactly. How long you're staying in the house is a huge factor. What your current rate is.
Right.
There's really no way to know. You could think you have a very good rate, which, believe you me, last year a 3.875 was a fabulous rate.
Yeah.
3.75 was fabulous. You look at rates now in the low twos, low to mid twos. Look at a credit card that you're paying, could be 12%,
right.
29%.
Exactly, extremely high.
Yeah.
You could refinance your mortgage at a 2.75. Either have your payment stay the same or sometimes even go down and pay off all your credit card debt.
I'm about to pick up Mike from Tonawanda, but don't forget to call in. The number is 803-0930, 803-0930, and star 930 on your cell. Hey, Mike, how's it going?
I am well. I have a question. I am 68. I'm retired, but I still work part-time. I currently have, I'm not collecting Social Security because I'm waiting till 70. I have quite a few 403Bs and IRAs. They're traditional, plus a pension. Is it worthwhile to change the IRAs and 403Bs to Roths before the end of the year due to the COVID? Or is that just people talking, trying to get me to spend my money?
It's so funny. We've been getting this question a lot this week at the office, haven't we, Chris?
Yep.
Wow.
And personally, it depends on your income, but I would say no, because what you're going to do if you convert your 403Bs and your IRAs to Roth IRAs, you're going to pay tax on all that money now. So if you pull $50,000 out to convert, if you're stay in the 12% bracket, you're looking, that's going to cost you about $6,000 just on the federal. Then let's not forget about New York State. So then you're looking another $3,000. That's going to cost you almost $10,000 in taxes to convert $50,000.
And his 403B should be all tax free in the state.
No, 403B is not.
I'm thinking, okay.
But so that's a lot of money you're going to pay in taxes to avoid paying taxes later. And then it's going to make all your other income pay taxes even at a higher rate.
Now, the benefit about a Roth is that it grows tax-free, so that's why they'll tell you that. Another benefit of a Roth is your heirs, when they inherit it, they won't have to pay taxes. So if you want to do a favor for your heirs, I have a lot of clients who like to do it for the people who are going to inherit their money, and then it also grows tax-free. And so it's really, I think it's important if you come in and run the numbers.
And I would say, what's his name again? I'm sorry.
His name is Mike.
Mike, I know you want to wait for till you're 70 to get that higher amount in Social Security, but have you run the numbers how much money you're giving up right now?
Yes.
I mean, because you're going to be about 85 years old when you break out even. And I don't know about you, but there's not much 85-year-olds who are living a life right now. I mean, they're living, but they're not going 78. Right, but they're not going on vacations. They're not going out. They're not, they're not hitting the golf course. They're not, they're staying at home, and their big trip is going to the mall or Wegmans. So what you're saving it for, you got to watch it and be careful, because I know we're a big component of taking a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush.
I agree with that.
Yeah. And then another thing, Mike, is if Biden goes into the White House, maybe he'll change the tax rates. And so I think that's why some brokers are saying to do it now, while the tax rates are what they are, to convert the Roth versus what they will be when Biden is. And so I just think calling and telling us all the numbers, on Monday is a good idea. What do you think, Chris?
Yep, definitely. You got to run the numbers.
Any other questions, Mike?
I think that's really just about it.
Yeah. Well, happy Thanksgiving.
Stay safe, Mike.
Thanks for the call.
We were talking about refinancing, and I know I have another example here. A couple who owns a house at a current rate of 5.75 on a 30-year mortgage. They bought their house 5 years ago for $200,000. Their monthly payment, not counting property taxes and all that, is $1,167. They would have principal left of $185,000. With the current law, they would save no money on their tax return because the standard deduction is so high. But if they refinance that $185,000 to 2.5% for 15 years, which is very possible, right? Mm-hmm. Right? That would be a payment of $1,234. So their payment goes up $67, but they lose 10 years of mortgage payments. So they would save $128,000.
Wow. Boom. Huge. Wow.
I mean, that's for $70 a month, and that's not taking out extra to pay off. That's just saving just off of your own mortgage.
I know that to bring this to life, one of my clients was in my office about a month ago, and they didn't think that they could do this, but they did it with Jesse. They fixed it from a 30 to a 15, and they took off all these years, saved all this money, and he said it was very eye-opening.
For about a dinner out a week, one less out dinner, and bam, you just cut 10 years off your term.
We can't go out to dinner now anyway.
Unless you're in Niagara County, take a little drive. But yeah, no, I hear you.
I'm going to grab the call from Ray from Clarence. Hey, Ray, how's it going?
Hi, guys. I called about a month ago I'm a client/customer of Prostate Funding. I worked with Jesse. Dave Ruda was the loan processor, and I gave my good story last month. We finally closed Thursday, and I got to tell you, we had 24 years left on our loan. Jesse put us in a 15-year, so we saved 9 years. I'm paying the same amount. Went from 4.25 down to 2.25. And,
awesome.
Ended up saving, I projected anywhere from $90,000 to $110,000.
Yep.
And, but I look at it differently. I only have 15 years left. I'm 47 as opposed to, 24 years.
Yep.
It puts me almost in the 70s. So I'm thinking a little bit different now about my future retirement, but I just wanted to give a live example that I'm living through it.
Congrats.
Yeah, now you could retire debt-free.
That's right. And every month I love making my payments. I'm more coming back to me in the principal.
Yep, exactly.
And Ray, were you able to kind of position it to where you skip 2 out-of-pocket payments as well on the mortgage?
No, we're just doing the every month. I don't even have to escrow my taxes, which I love controlling my own money, so I didn't have to borrow extra, $6,000 in the mortgage.
Huge.
One of those discipline type people. I don't have to pay for. I can pay for taxes and insurance on my own. And
you probably are going to get a check back for your escrow account if you had one set up before, which is a nice little payday as well.
It'll go right to my self-escrow that I take care of.
There you go. Smart man, Ray.
Thank you for the call. That's awesome. Awesome.
Happy Thanksgiving, too.
Yep. Those are the things. I mean, Esther always talks about being smart with your money, and that's what she's talking about. And we're going to do a break and hit the calls on the other side, 803-0930.
That's right. We at EG Tax think you are family to us. That's why we bring in our special guests to help you out, because we want you to save as much money in your pocket as you possibly can. That's why we have Joe here from Cross State Funding. Again,
thanks for having me.
Yep, thank you for being here. Anytime you guys have tax questions, call us. Now, I know there's not much time left, but you can call us on the radio, 803-0930. Call us during the office, 632-7886. And even if you missed Joe on the radio, you can call us. We'll give you his phone number now, but Joe, you can give it out as well.
Yeah, it's 716-383-2191. Once again, that's 383-2191.
Okay. And we're going to go to a text. It says, great show. What are the guidelines for how many years you have left on your mortgage where you should not consider refinance?
Oh, that's a good question.
So there's something called a benefits test. Every single mortgage that you get, whether it's a purchase or a refinance, it has to pass this benefits test. So you can't just, get into a mortgage, add a bunch of closing costs to your loan and just call it a day. So it really depends on what you're doing. We do refinances for people who have a year left on their mortgage, or this is huge too, that the house is free and clear. So whether you're pulling cash out, it just really depends on the goal financially that you're looking to accomplish. Again, kind of, harping on these high interest rate credit cards and student loans even, or, depending on what the debt is, pull the cash out, at a low rate, even on a 5-year term, pull the cash out, pay it off, at a very low rate, and you're freeing up cash flow to be able to do other things.
And I know with tax law, if you take out a home equity or you refinance and the money is not used to put back in the home, it limits the interest deductible. But with the standard deduction right now being $24,000 for a married couple, many couples are not itemizing on the federal. So to pay 12% to 29% on your credit cards would be ridiculous.
Exactly.
If you can get it paid off and then you're good, and you either cut up that credit card or tuck it away, give it to your mom and say, don't give it to me, I don't want it,
Even at Christmas?
But really, people should start looking into it if you're not already.
Yep. And then you guys put together a question here. What is the difference between an FHA and a conventional loan, Joe?
This is huge, especially for purchases right now. Again, kind of circling back to the beginning of the show here. The market is obviously crazy right now. So sellers are able to actually literally handpick the buyers, because again, it's a very much so a seller's market right now. So the FHA is generally for first-time home buyers. Not always. They're a little less stringent on the credit score. They actually don't have a credit score minimum. So that's another misconception with buying a house. There are no credit score minimums. It's just a matter of what can the lender get an approval at. So a lot of lenders have their own, credit guidelines as far as, what they're willing to lend on. So they're a little less stringent on the credit score minimums, a little less stringent on the debt to income ratio. And for those of you listening who do not know what a debt to income ratio is, it's your debts divided into your income, which that is a set percentage for, FHA versus conventional. So conventional, think of it as the
20% down.
Exactly. Well, there are 3% to 5% down conventional as well. You just have to have a lot prettier of a situation. It's higher credit scores, lower debt to income ratios, you want to have some assets. But again, if you're looking to purchase right now and you're striking out in an FHA loan, ask your loan originator, what you have to do to qualify for conventional, because that's a huge thing right now with people looking to purchase. You're an FHA buyer, you're up against a conventional buyer. Sometimes it might be a matter of just putting a few more thousand down, tweaking the credit score a little bit. What can we do to get you up in 30 to 60 days? And bam, you're in a conventional loan.
That's another thing. Is you helped a few of my clients, their credit score wasn't so good, and you guys have a software tool where you can look at the areas of weaknesses, and you almost give them a recipe for what they have to do to improve their credit.
You got it. Got it. It's again, just a phone call away. Right. We'll get an overview of your situation, and sometimes it really is just a matter of paying down a credit card, a little bit, and again, not even paying it off sometimes.
I know this client, you told them pay $1,700 on your B of A, pay $750 on your Chase, close the second person who's allowed to use a credit card. I mean, you guys just detailed what they should do.
Exactly. We'll point you right in the right direction there.
Now, follow up to that one, and then I have another follow up to what you were saying with FHA. You hear advertised all the time with John Cena on the lovely purple cow, boost your credit. Mm-hmm. Does that actually work? Is that something?
So it does, but you have to account for the other two repositories as well. So how it works in mortgage is exactly you have Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. For a mortgage, when I pull your credit score, I'm using the middle score out of those three. So yes, your Experian at that moment might be say 700 exactly, and that's your middle score. And they you do the Experian boost, and bam, you're up. Well, that's now your high score, and your lower score is now your middle score. So. Right. It really just kind of it really can get tricky, but in the same sense, it's pretty simple. Once you call them, we can discuss it, but it's just some tweaks get
because
that credit
when you
up.
gave the recipe to that client, it was across the board, and so they were able to then purchase the house or refinance. I forget what they were doing. There's a text, two of them. It says, "Hey, great show. Any news on another stimulus check?" And then I'm going to go to the other one before we go to that one. My income is about $60K. I have pretty low debt to income ratio, I think, but a horrible credit score. I owe about maybe $30,000 in debt. How do I get a loan?
So, first to answer that question, thanks for the text. Give us a call. We can kind of get an overview of your situation. It really depends on what kind of debt and why you think your score is low, whether it's, collection accounts, bankruptcies, foreclosures, whatever the specific situation is. We'll kind of spearhead that first and figure out, what we have to do to manipulate that score up. The good thing is you have a decent income, and like you said, you think your debt to income ratio is low. Those are two good positives.
I mean, I really think each situation is unique. I called Jesse the other day because one of my clients was doing an offer on compromise, and he had a mortgage on his house, and the value of the house was, I got to first go there, 170. The mortgage was about 30,000, so he had a lot of room. The value was, we'll say, 200,000, and so I wanted him to pull out the equity to pay off the IRS because it was the best plan. And so his only income was from workman's comp. And so his credit score wasn't so good. And so Jesse gave him a way to hopefully get his credit score. So I think, as you say, Joe, if you give each of you, everybody gives you a call, they'll figure it out because there's probably a plan for her, right?
Oh, I for sure would think, again, it's just a matter of getting an overview of your specific situation. Whether you're talking to an aunt, uncle, sister, brother, coworker, everyone's situation is different. Even if it sounds it's identical.
Because what if the $30K was student loan debt? That's different than credit card debt.
Exactly. Or, again, you could have something as easy as you're an authorized user on a credit card that was late, and that's killing your score. That's a phone call fix. So again, just give us a call. We'll see your situation and hopefully get a plan together for you.
Really good question.
And
stimulus.
And the stimulus one, I heard yesterday on the radio going home that they're off for a week. So there's going to be no decisions done for at least a week on the stimulus. That's sad.
It's really sad.
Because the politicians are out there, and this goes for Republicans and Democrats.
Right.
I don't care what side you lean
Red,
on.
blue.
The American people need it. The American people need it. But they're not talking to each other. They don't want to work out a deal.
I mean, look at Governor Cuomo just closed down hair salons and gyms, and restaurants are cut by the knees. I mean, so people really need the stimulus money. Yep. And so take a week off.
But as soon as we hear something, we'll let our listeners know, our clients know. Going back to the FHA, now, normally when people have FHA, they have PMI, and I know I'm throwing a lot of initials out there, but mortgage insurance.
You got it.
What's the criteria to stop paying your PMI or MIP, however you want to say it?
Yep. So here's the thing. It again kind of circles back to how much money you put down initially. If you're just going with the bare minimum 3.5% down, with the FHA loan, you're going to have that mortgage insurance for the life of the loan. Doesn't matter
the
what
life of the loan.
No matter what your loan to value is, you have that for the life of the loan. Now, if you put 5% down on the FHA loan, it drops the mortgage insurance from 0.85 to 0.80, and it goes away after 11 years. So you'll have it for the span of 11 years. So that's why it's huge to try to get into the conventional loan, because again, the PMI or mortgage insurance for an FHA loan is set percentage no matter what lender you go with.
Okay, yeah, I always thought it was as soon as you hit 20%.
And that's how it is. If you're in an FHA loan and say you put that 3.5% down originally, you're going to have to refinance to get out of that into a conventional. Now, if you're in a conventional loan to start, yes, once you're at that 80%, you can give your lender a call, say, hey, I think they might want to do an appraisal, depends. Then it drops off automatically at 78%.
And that's an expensive thing. It can be because it depends how much your mortgage is. I seen $50 a month up to $200 a month.
It can be astronomical. And I do loans in downstate New York as well. $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 plus loans. That's
and what's so funny is when I'm sitting with a client and I see PMI, I say to them, you guys might want to give a phone call to your mortgage company to find out if they could drop it off. I wish that they were more proactive, the mortgage companies, and let them know that this was something on the table for them, but they don't. And then I think you just learned something new about the FHA and the PMI.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a set percentage. So if anyone's telling you on an initial purchase, unless you're putting that 5% down, you're going to have to refinance out of that to get rid of the PMI.
Wow. That's crazy because all those costs involved.
Exactly. And here's the thing, too. Even if you think you're at 90% loan to value or 95 or even 85, give us a call because we could, maybe not get rid of that PMI, but with a combination with rates, guys, we could lower that rate and then also lower your PMI to where, it's a combined huge monthly savings.
That's something I never even thought about. Very good question. So another Saturday. Happy Thanksgiving. Don't forget, if you have any questions for Cross-State, give them a call, 716-383-2191. Have a blessed and happy and safe Thanksgiving, and thanks for listening.
Have a good one.
Thanks.